Hi there, this is Elise Benin, your marketing mentor. And this is the podcast for you if and only if you are ready to leave the feast or famine syndrome behind, and I mean for good. If you love your clients and are looking for a way to deepen your relationships with them, this episode is for you. I chatted with designer and mom of a therapy dog, Tara Hoover, about a very unique strategy she's come up with and that she doesn't even think of as marketing, but I do. It's the epitome of generosity. And she generously shared with me and you this idea so you can try it too. So listen and learn. Hello, Tara. Welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Please introduce yourself.
So my name is Tara Hoover. I am located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I am a one-woman graphic and web design studio. And I mostly work with higher ed and nonprofits in the education space.
Beautiful. And why higher ed and education and nonprofits?
I will be completely honest. It kind of is just a natural evolution. I didn't plan it this way. Mm-hmm. I wish I could say that I plotted out this whole thing and I got to where I wanted to go. Because I know. I'm very much a list person and this is what I need to do. And I did it. It just it was completely a natural evolution.
That sounds perfect to me.
Actually. It is actually. Looking back on it, I was like, this is probably exactly how it was supposed to be. So it ended up being through a contact that I had worked with, a million years ago. It was wild. As soon as I opened my little studio, I changed my status on LinkedIn. And lo and behold, somebody I worked with at an ad agency, I'm talking like a decade plus, reached out and was like, oh, we need some help. And he happened to be at a university. And I kind of got in and started working with that particular university. And then that has just grown to others. And it's just been a good fit for me and how I like to work and the type of work that they need. Mm-hmm. So I've just kind of, settled in that lane.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And in terms of nonprofits, often people say, oh, I'm not going to focus on nonprofits. They have no money. Is that your opinion?
No, I was completely shocked that they have lots of money. I don't know, lots is a relative term, but I thought I kind of had that preconceived notion as well. And I didn't target nonprofits, but I think some of the work in education that I was doing kind of just naturally, I had some contacts and work kind of expanded in under that umbrella. And yes, I was like, wait a minute, these are nonprofits and they're not giving me a hard time about contracts and pricing and proposals. And if you do good work and it wasn't nearly as difficult as I thought. I like most people kind of had that, I think, assumption that it was like, oh, it's nonprofit. They're going to nickel and dime me, or they're going to want work for free, and that has not been the case at all. I've actually had some really good relationships and nonprofits have been some of my best clients.
Nice. So how do you market your work, Tara? How do you get your clients?
So I think everybody is the default answer is, word of mouth. But I would say, I don't actively do anything with my website as terms of I'm not paying for any type of placement or Google ads or anything like that. But I've set it up the right way. And I know, I'm a web designer and I know enough about what to do to make sure that I am at least, I do the best that I can without spending a lot of money. And to my surprise, people do find me, they do find me online pretty regularly. Some of those are not great fits, but I've actually had some that have been really good fits too. So I would say it's a mix of, I don't actively market myself as much as I would like to. I can always improve on that, but sharing my work on LinkedIn has been good. I really have, I've listened to a lot of your podcasts on the topic and people that you've had. And, I've taken the route of, I've really cleaned my LinkedIn list so that they're people that I want to talk to and be in front of. So I know when I put something out on LinkedIn, it's going in front of the eyes of people that I want to see it. So I've had some, over the years, just contacts through LinkedIn, people finding me online, and then networking of people that I have worked with who have referred me out over time.
And, one of the things I always find interesting is that when I ask people how they market themselves, first of all, there seems to be a little bit of pressure like, oh, I should be doing more or I should be doing something different. So I kind of hear that in your voice.
For sure.
But also, I find that people are doing things that they either forget they're doing or don't consider marketing. And I know for a fact that you have a LinkedIn newsletter, which you didn't really mention either.
Well, I didn't because it's new. And I will follow up with that and say that as of the last, I sent the first one out in November, and then going to the retreat with you and the Creatives Roundtable in January also kind of just got me, energized. Mm-hmm. And to be honest with you, I think part of what I completely did this on a whim. I just was like, okay, I've tried all these different things. I really feel like the newsletter is going to be the thing that fits me, the way I like to communicate to people. And I just took all the pressure off of myself. For a while, I was all in on LinkedIn and I was putting a lot of time, money, and energy into it. And I really didn't see, I wasn't expecting to get a client a week out of it by any means, but the effort just didn't feel like the return was there. And I didn't like doing it. And I finally just kind of gave myself the grace to be like, this isn't what I want to do. What feels good and what feels natural and what feels like something that I'll actually get like excited to put out into the world. And I have no idea what I'm going to talk about from month to month. Mm-hmm. And Deidre helps me put it together.
Mm-hmm. My initial Rienzo of copy.com.
The amazing Deidre. My initial goal was to send it out every other month. And to my surprise, I've had enough to put out there and to say that I've kept it up once a month. I've sent one out every month since November, and I don't have any plans of stopping. And so that is a new marketing channel for me that I have committed to, but it's been great. And I'm in year 8. Yesterday was year 8 anniversary of my business. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And it's been a journey, and I have finally seen the light of why the newsletter is like the amazing.
It takes time sometimes.
It absolutely takes time. And I had sent one. I started sending one out. I sent one out in March of 2020, and that was a very short-lived newsletter. And so it's had a stop and start many times over the years, but I definitely see it and I get it now. And it's like, instead of having to individually reach out to people, which is still nice on occasion, it's so nice to know that I am hitting everybody's inbox at least once a month. Mm-hmm. They see my name. I'm amazed at how many people respond. And we just start having normal conversation. Oh, hey, how are you? Nice to hear from you. I get it. I definitely have I've connected the dots, and I see the power in it now.
Good.
So, yes. So I am proudly will add newsletter to my marketing channels.
And actually, one thing before we segue into the reason that we're here talking today is that it's very common also for people one of the obstacles to the newsletter idea is, but how am I going to come up with something to write about or send out every single month?
Yeah.
But I find that once people get into the groove, they actually have more than they need because the ideas just keep coming. And so I like to say, just don't worry about it. You don't have to think about next month until we get there. And then you open your eyes and see what the world is talking about and listen to what your clients are kvetching about. And then you come up with something.
Yeah, it really hasn't been as hard as I thought. And one of the things I found was interesting is that, And truth be told, I'm such a fan of Deidre and her work and her newsletters that I was like, I kind of want it to be in that vein of just short and sweet. And to my surprise, I'm always adding more. And that's been something I've been really shocked by, where we're trying so hard to keep it short, but I find myself always making it longer because I have more to say. And I'm like, wow, who am I?
That's right. And I do think people want to hear. They won't always read and they won't always have time to click, but I think they want to be in touch. People want to be in touch. So I'm glad you're doing that.
Yeah, I was just talking to my friend, my business twin, Kara, yesterday. And I said to her, because she was like, way to go on your newsletter. And I was like, trust me, I'm proud of myself. Like, I can't believe I'm doing this regularly. Like, I'm very proud of the fact that I've committed to it and followed through. So, yeah.
And so we're talking on May 2nd, which means that May 1st was you said 8 years?
My business anniversary.
Business anniversary. So congratulations on that. That's not nothing.
Thank you.
And the reason that I invited you to the podcast is because at the retreat, when you were here in Savannah in January, you described one of your other marketing tools, which maybe you don't think of it that way either.
Very good point. I don't think of that. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And the focus, I'm going to ask you to describe it, but the focus from what I can tell is on building and cultivating and deepening relationships with existing clients, which is a whole marketing strategy in and of itself. So tell us what you do, Tara.
So I send out what I have coined workiversary gifts. And essentially what that is I have a whole list that I keep of when I first signed the contract with a particular client. And every year on that anniversary, I send them. I never know what I'm going to send. I constantly am on the lookout for just fun and interesting little gifts. And essentially, it's just something to say thank you. It's to celebrate our partnership. Like partnership is my key word when I'm marketing myself, because I'm purposely staying small. I want to continue to be a one-woman operation. I don't want to hire people. I don't want to grow into any kind of boutique agency. And for me, my plate is only so big, and I genuinely appreciate the people who have chosen to partner with me, because those partnerships are really important. And so it's just an opportunity to shine a light on the work that we've done and our partnership and our relationship. And it's just a way to show my thanks. The reason that I like it is because it happens at a time when you're not expecting it. Like, my clients don't know I'm keeping track of this stuff. So like to them,
and they're
all of a
probably
sudden,
not keeping track.
No. So on a random day, they get a gift and a little surprise. And that's another reason why this was a natural progression, but I've kind of settled on doing it this way. And the surprise factor is something that's also just a fun little tidbit.
So let's dig into the nitty gritty a little bit, because one thought I have, of course, we want to know like what kinds of gifts, and do you do it every year for every client?
Right.
And if so, is it a surprise every year because they've gotten distracted and kind of forgot about it? And again, they're not keeping track. So it can be a surprise every year.
Yeah, I would say it is a surprise every year. I've also given myself that it has to happen within the month. It's really hard to nail it down to the day or even the week. And honestly, the reason that that's kind of evolved is because of the post-COVID world. Like, it's really hard to know where people are in the world now. And that's kind of thrown a little bit of a wrench into my workiversary gifts, because I love mail. I love getting something tangible and physical. I try very, very hard not to make it like an e-gift card or something that's just electronic. Like, I want someone to hold a tangible thing in their hand. So I try to get it as close to the date as possible, but definitely the goal is to get it in their hands in the month of our workiversary.
And what is it?
So it could be a lot of different things. I've sent food to the office, which, funny story, one of my clients one day, this was a couple months ago, I think I sent cookies. No, I sent dough. I sent cookie dough. And she emailed me that day and was like, I forgot my lunch. And thanks to you, I had cookie dough for lunch and it was amazing. She was like, had I not had the cookie dough, I wouldn't have eaten anything. And she was like, thank you very much for the sweet treat for lunch.
But wait, cookie dough, is that cookie dough you make or someone else makes and sells?
No, so it's an Aunt Dough. Deux is the place, and they do really fancy. I believe there's dough from New York, DO, and then there's dough, which is Deux. I believe Deux is the one that's like really healthy, vegan. It's really yummy, but it has kind of like a health side to it. So I believe that's the one that I had sent them. I will tell you one challenge is I actually have to keep track of what I sent to who so that I don't repeat. I wouldn't want to send, cookies or cookie dough twice in, back to back, or so I keep notes and keep it all straight so that I kind of figure out what I need to send to who on any given year. One of the gifts that I recently started sending that I love, there is a company in Pittsburgh that makes handmade wooden iPhone chargers. They're beautiful and they're really just really pretty to have on your desk. And they will imprint kind of like wood burning. They will put a logo or whatever you want on it into the wood. And so I have sent them my clients' logos and they put the logo onto this really pretty wooden block. And that's been a very big hit. I have gotten really good feedback on that gift. Yeah.
And so how much do you spend on each gift, would you say? Do you have a budget?
Honestly, it depends on the client. So if it's a larger client of mine, then my budget is larger. I kind of do it based on the revenue of that the client brings in for my business. And so I would say on average, they're around 100, 150 maybe on average. Yeah. And so, it is. But again, and I understand how this would need to be adapted for any given business. Because for me, again, I'm small. I'm only sending a couple, I may be sending less than 5 of these a year. And over time, I've had to kind of figure it out of like, okay, well, how much work did I, technically I'm still working with this client, but I only did maybe like 1 or 2 things. I kind of just reassess it every year. But I used to send out a big mailing. The way that this whole thing started was that I, like a lot of people, was doing a holiday mailing. And I think I did at one point, I did it around Thanksgiving, more as like a thank you type message. And then I was doing holiday stuff. And I just was completely stressing myself out. And I was sending something really small to a whole lot of people. And it was everybody. It was vendors and friends and, just anyone under the umbrella of my business. And again, I just kind of said to myself, okay, I'm done doing this. I'm completely stressing myself out. It's the holidays. It's a busy enough time. Everyone is getting things and I'm most likely getting lost in the shuffle anyway. And it just felt more authentic and genuine for me to kind of pivot and do something bigger and more meaningful to less people.
Quality over quantity, for sure.
Yes.
All right, 2 more questions. One is I'm curious about the kind of response that you get and if you can see the difference in terms of extending relationships or deepening relationships with your clients. And then we'll come up with a baby step that people can try.
I've definitely, the response is always, really positive. People are very, they're genuinely thankful for the gesture. It definitely makes, I would say it deepens the relationship in the sense that, it's reminding them of, and a lot of times, right? These are clients, that a lot of clients I have been with me 6, 7, even 8 years. So it's a chance for me to just even remind them and say like, hey, we've been in this relationship now for 8 whole years, and I think just by doing it in the vein of thank you, I appreciate you, it's also saying like, hey, like, this is working and we are a good team and I'm a valued part of your organization. And so I do think that on the whole, all of it does definitely help from a marketing standpoint on my end and to deepen those relationships. It also just, the same way, sending my newsletter out. It's a way just on a random day to start a conversation, right? Like we're always looking for ways to connect. And so if they're sending me a thank you note, like my one client that's like, hey, I didn't eat lunch today, thank you so much. Like it's a very easy way, to say like, oh, no problem. How are you doing? And who knows where those conversations can lead. It's a good excuse to just have another touch point.
It may be the epitome of what I call generosity as a marketing tool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. And again, like, I think I have just come to a point where I feel like I have kind of followed, I've followed the trends, or I've followed the, I'm doing this, or you should be doing this, or what. And I've tried a lot of different things. And I have finally just kind of settled on, I'm only going to do what just feels natural and good and authentic to me in the way that I want to interact with my clients and I don't want to say audience. I don't really have like a big audience, but there are, people that I am always trying to communicate to. And this was just a way that I thought, instead of being some crazy person in December, it's going to the post office with boxes of envelopes for, 100 and some people. I'm going to focus on a handful and let them know truly how much I appreciate them.
I love that, Tara.
Thank you.
All right. So let's come up with a baby step for anyone who loves this idea as much as I do. What should they do first? What is the first step?
I mean, honestly, I think the first step would just be take inventory. Like I think as solopreneurs and freelancers, our lives are pretty chaotic and we're constantly wearing so many hats. Just maybe set some time aside to really look at your client roster and even just see, like, could you pick out 3? Like, who are your top 3 clients? Somebody that if they would walk away tomorrow, you would be really sad to lose them. And whether you do it, based on the value, just the way that you work, it could also be based on, how much money they bring in. Like it could be based on a lot of different factors. But I would say just as a baby step, think about it, right? Just try to identify who those clients would be. And maybe it's just one. Maybe it's just, if there was one client that walked away tomorrow that you would be really bummed about, who would it be? And maybe think about what you could do for them to show your appreciation.
Beautiful. All right, Tara, thank you so much. Tell the people where they can find more about you online.
So best place is my website, tarahoover.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn under just the same name, Tara Hoover. And if there are any dog lovers out there, my Instagram at Tara Hoover is dedicated to my therapy dog, Juno. We volunteer on Fridays at Pittsburgh International Airport and also a local hospital. And I post all of our adventures all around the city of our volunteer work. So my Instagram is dedicated to her, but it's also a fun little place.
I love that. So. I dedicated my Instagram to my dog, but we don't do therapy.
Hey, I tell everybody, every dog is a therapy dog.
That's true.
How they're doing their therapy is different. Like, Juno has official jobs, but it doesn't mean that every dog isn't a therapy dog in their own way.
Beautiful. Oh my God, that's awesome, Tara. I'm going to go look at it right now. So thanks again. And we'll talk again soon, I'm sure. Thanks for sharing so much.
Thank you.
Tara's baby step is to choose 1 or 3 or 5 clients you don't want to live without and try this strategy on them. I have a feeling you'll enjoy it and they will be thrilled. So if you want to build a thriving business on your own terms, The first step is to sign up for my quick tips at marketing-mentortips.com. Once you're on the site, you'll find lots more resources, including my simplest marketing plan. So enjoy, and I'll see you next time.